keep saying I'll start on Monday, and Monday never comes. I go on holiday soon, and I really want a bigger bum and a smaller waist. Can you help?
Look, if you wanna come gym, make sure you put the work in. Some wanna get fit, some wanna get slim, some wanna start competing, but enough of them just can't stop cheating. When their belly is full, they're still eating. Me, I practice what I'm teaching. They don't live what they're preaching. It's a life.
What's up, Fit Fam? This is Giovanni of Gio's Logic, your host of Fitness Junkeez. I hope this show meets you in good health and spirits, and if not, I hope it inspires you to do something about it. Well, I'm very excited because I'm sitting next to this young lady. Finally, I think I've been stalking her for, 3 years. Well, this is just past the 100th episode, so it's been about 2.5 years or so. How are you, Sara?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's funny. When I first found you on Instagram, I think you were training people. Mm-hmm. Was that what you were doing at the time?
Yes.
And now you're doing something really different, which I love, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of people, especially mothers. So what I want to do first is everyone that sits in that chair has a fitness journey, and I like to go back all the way when you started, playing kickball in junior high school or whatever it is, and how did you get to where you are now?
Okay. As a child, I really was specializing in the swim team. So I was a state swimmer growing up, and I did it all the way from age 4 till I graduated.
Where?
In Boulder City, Nevada.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So you're local.
Yes. Yeah. And I did a little bit of dance, but it really wasn't my thing. I really liked swimming. I actually had foot problems where my Achilles tendons were too short, so sports on my feet were nearly impossible.
Oh, wow.
And I had surgery when I was 16 on both of my feet and was in a wheelchair with casts on each leg for 10th grade.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Buzzkill.
So it wasn't until 10th grade that I tried a little bit of foot sports like tennis, but even in elementary school, I had to sit out of PE, and I was the timer for all the mile runs. I was a scorekeeper. That's how I had to get my grade in PE growing up.
Wow.
And then when I got older, I had my son at age 19, and then I was overweight by 23. Okay. And I wanted to lose 10 pounds. So I was like, I got to lose 10 pounds, and I'm going to start trying to learn how to eat healthy. The people that were around my circle were eating vegan, and so they kind of started coaching me on eating whole foods. And at that time in my life, I didn't eat any vegetables. I grew up eating, taquitos and pizza and chicken fingers. Right. I was one of those kids that I didn't eat anything that was healthy for me. So I started training myself how to eat healthy through blending vegetables and fruits because I just didn't eat them whole yet. And I started changing my lifestyle that way. Then I bought a garage sale bike. My son, he was about 4 or 5. And so we started riding bikes around town. And then I lost that 10 pounds that I wanted to lose. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to lose the next 10. So that led to more riding. And then I ended up getting a road bike. I met some cyclists. At the time, I was a server in a restaurant and steakhouse. And I started meeting cyclists that would ride through because I live in Boulder City. So there's all kinds of cyclists that would do group rides. And they would come in and I was like, oh, I'm riding my little garage sale bike. And I've lost 20 pounds now. And they're like, wow, you should come riding with us. So I rented a road bike and went on a ride with them. And I fell in love with it. And we were doing trails in the desert.
Oh, wow.
And I also bought my son a road bike. And when we were riding, and within 6 months, he was now 7. And we were riding 30-mile bike rides through the desert of hills constantly. Wow. And him at his age too.
Wow.
And by the end of that, I started swimming again. And I started swimming competitively. I signed up on a little team in Henderson, and it was so fun. And I felt back at home with people. I was very strong in the sport, so I started strong right away. Right. And I picked it up real quickly again, getting back in the water. And in swimming, you know, each lane is depending on your speed and your pace. And so you're not overlapping swimmers with you. And was within a month, I was in lane 2. And these people, they were racers. They were racing. So were the cyclists that I was learning to cycle with. So I was like, okay, cool, this is fun. I maybe want to do a race. And somewhere along the line, these athletes convinced me to start trying to learn how to run, which was like my biggest enemy ever.
Right.
Because I can't do anything on my feet. Yeah. So I was like, no, you guys are crazy. My feet, it's not going to work. But then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just try it. And so I remember I was literally running from street light to street light up my street. And from street light to street light, I would have to stop and my ankles would hurt and I had all the complaints. But yeah, I had my surgery, but I had never really pushed it. Right. So I was like, okay, well, then I signed up on the run team with my son at the school. So we started cycling to the school, and to the school is less than a mile from my house, but we made a track that was a 5-mile route to get to the school. Right. So we would ride our bike 5 miles, and then there was a run program before the school. And if you showed up at 7 a.m., school started at 8, you could join the run program. So we started doing that, and I would walk, jog, and you get to collect tokens every time you make a lap, and, 5 laps equals a mile. And so this was actually very special and inspiring to me because I'm still a Boulder City local, and so my son is going to the same schools that I went to.
Oh, wow.
And it was the same run program that I used to hand out what they call toe tokens, where now they hand out ribbons.
Right.
And so instead of being the person handing out the toe tokens, now I was earning them.
Right.
And so my son and I, every 5 miles, they give you a ribbon. And we worked our way up to 100 miles that year.
Wow.
And I got to the point where I was running 5 miles consecutively and jogging and pacing. And I got into metabolic training as the triathletes were all teaching me about how important that was. And so I started running. And then that year I lost 60 pounds and I signed up for my first race to end with a bang, just like, let's just do something wild. It's the end of my year journey.
A triathlon?
Yes. Okay. So I signed up for a triathlon because I was like, why not? I did all the training. A
full triathlon?
I did the half.
Okay.
So, the sprint course. So,
okay.
Which.
That's a lot still.
Yeah.
How long is that run? Like 2?
So the swim portion, I don't quote me, I can't remember anymore, but okay. I think it's 1.5 or 2 miles for the swim.
Right.
And it's open water swim. So we did it in Lake Mead. And it happened to be the windiest day ever.
Of course.
And that was crazy. And I had trained a few times down at the lake in a wetsuit because I did it in October.
Okay.
So I bought a wetsuit from a great professional triathlete friend of mine who was inspiring me, who, rest in peace today. She ended up getting hit by a semi a couple of years later. But I considered it my lucky wetsuit because she was so inspiring and she was a pro. And I was like, this is a lucky wetsuit, right? Oh, wow. So, and she had won multiple races in the suit. So I don't know. I think it gave me some fuel just wearing it. Mm-hmm. And I was swimming in the waves and I have all the background of swim. So I was doing all kinds of techniques that we weren't learning in the swim class that I was taking.
Right.
And so I used those to my advantage. I did a lot of underwater swimming, a lot of hopping out over the waves. It was so fun. And I got to the end and I was coming. I had thought that I had passed my heat. At one point, nobody was near me. And then when I got to end, I was coming out of the water and all of a sudden I was by everybody. And I remember feeling so confused. And I was like, what? I was ahead. And then I came out, my friends were yelling at me. They're like, hurry up, you're passing the heat in front of you. I passed the group in front of me of the swimmers. And I was like, what is happening right now? So I ran, and at this point you're barefooted. You're running through the dirt. You might have bloody feet by the end. You don't feel it with that adrenaline. But right. So I'm running through, I'm cycling up, I'm getting my shoes on, just ripping my suit off as fast as I can. And I jumped on the bike. And that portion, I do remember, was a 13-mile bike ride from Lake Mead all the way up to Boulder City, which is an uphill race. Oof. And it's a very steep hill, which I trained on many times to prepare for this. Mm-hmm. So I PR'd my times on that. And by the end, I got to the run. I think the run portion was 3.5 miles.
Okay.
And that was my weakest point. And so I was like, okay, that was the most intimidating part. And I had to pace myself, monitoring my heart. At that point, I had computers on my bike. I could read my heart the whole way. I gauged my heart the whole time up that hill to try to preserve for the run. And I did the run. And I remember feeling like I was a robot. Like there was no sound. And I was just, all I could hear was my breathing and my concentration.
Right.
And at one point, I even dropped my water bottle on the hill up on the bike. And I shouldn't have done this, but I did stop and grab my water because I was like, I can't do the race without water. So I panicked. I grabbed my water bottle. I jumped back on my bike and had to start my momentum again. And then, I got to the top, did the run. And by the time I finished the race, I landed 3rd place on the podium.
What?
Yeah. And I had, a lot of people were really happy for me, but some people were like, we've been doing this for years.
Right.
And she placed on her first try.
Right. Now, were you in a group, like your age group and females, or was it overall?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
This race, I was my age group.
Okay.
I got 3rd.
Okay.
And so that ended my first year with that bang, and it was so exciting and it was motivating. And then that's when I decided to sign up for NASM personal training school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I started getting really hardcore into the studying and the food and the how to now build muscles. I trained for another race, and this one was open age group, and that one I placed 5th.
Whoa.
Yes. So that was really another milestone. And then my son did a race too, and he got 9th place, which was really cool. We did a kids triathlon, and I was able to run it next to him and swim.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. But so at some point, then I was trying to get to that next level, and I ended up getting a run injury where I tore my hip adductor between my thigh, and now I couldn't run. And then I also started experiencing my left hand going numb, and I couldn't hit my brake pedal anymore. And then I went to the doctors, found out that I had degenerative disc disease in my 4th C vertebrae, and they were like, you can't ride with your neck kinked anymore. In cycling, you're riding aerodynamic, so you're very low and your head is up, and it kinks the neck. So I now had 2 complications trying to race, which was very emotional because I was so into it.
Right.
And it was how I lost all my weight. So I was facing that fear of, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to keep this weight off? I still didn't know exactly how to eat, perfect yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started, how am I going to continue? And so I remember walking on the treadmill at Lifetime Gym at that time, and I was looking over at the weight side of the gym, and I was like, maybe I should try to learn how to lift weights. And
because you're a cardio queen. That's what you were doing.
Yes.
Hardcore.
And so I'm like, maybe I'll learn how to lift some weights now. And I started doing that, and that's when I started getting introduced to macro balancing my food, and I had gone back to eating meat now. So as I wasn't getting enough protein, I just couldn't figure out how to get the protein in when I was trying to eat vegan.
Mm-hmm.
But all of it, was very scary because, of course, I started eating meat. I started gaining a little bit weight back, but I was lifting. And so I was going through all the emotions of being a female. And I'm like, 5 pounds up. I'm panicking. And I'm talking to multiple coaches, and they're like, no, you've been doing this, this, and this. It's going to be good weight. Don't worry. And but mentally and emotionally, it was scary. I was hurt. I was trying to figure out how not to go backwards, how to continue to go forward. And so that's when I got really passionate into that, and I signed up for the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And you became a trainer, and you created a business out of that?
Yes. So I started my first business, and it was called Serotonin Athletics, and for happy athletes. And, and it was, I did that for 4 years. And then about a year in, I had to get more certs, and I got my nutrition coaching certification. And so now I wasn't just training my clients, but I was writing their meal plans, their suggested meal plans, and pushing them through. And
because you can't really.
Yeah. If you're not a nutritionist, then you can't actually assign it. But you can say, let's try this, let's try that, and kind of help someone find out what works for them.
Right.
And so, you can kind of start them off with that basic, let's start here, let's start you off balanced, and then your genetics in your body and our results combined with your cardio plan, with your lifting plan, your work schedule, all of the things together need to work together in tandem, where if something's working against the puzzle, you're either going to slow down your progress or you're not going to progress. So that was a lot of experimenting on a lot of different bodies for that 4 years. And my own transformation, like I said, it was 60 pounds down. Now I had muscle tone, then I was lifting, then I was a little more muscular at that point. And it really just started off with teaching the nutrition was when I started becoming better at getting my clients results, when I knew how to teach them versus just experimenting on my body and what worked and what didn't.
Right, right. And then did you get into competitive?
I did. 4 years in, 4 years into my career doing that, I really was inspired by the hardcore athletes and the magazine girls and all, the Olympians. And I was like, I want to do a photo shoot one day, and I want to do that. And so throughout the time that I was a personal trainer, I hired like 6 different coaches. So I always had a coach.
6 different? Okay.
So about every 6 to 9 months, I would try a new coach and learn different techniques to expand my education. You only learn so much in the books and online video, versus hands-on learning. So I kept hiring coaches with more years of education and experience and techniques. And every coach has different techniques and different ways. So I worked with about 6 different coaches throughout that 4 years. And on that 6th one, I was like, there was a coach that I had been stalking for a few years, and his name is Michael Haley, and he was the coach of Platinum Physiques.
Okay.
And I saw he had 15, 20 girls in this elite shape. And I was like, so I wrote him and I was like, can you tell me about your program and how much? And so he told me and how strict it was. And I was like, whoa, maybe I'll contact you again. So I kept watching his page, cheering on all his girls. And then about a year later, I was like, I'm ready to hire that guy. So I wrote him again, and I was like, I'm back, and I'm ready to do the crazy stuff you said that I would have to do to get there.
Right.
So he took me on, and I started training with him, and I did my first competition that year, and I placed 5th. And for me, the placing was not at all a concern. For me, getting on stage or on camera like this is so fearful for me that I panic. I'm like, I have to go through all the motions on the way. I have to talk to myself in the car. I'm like, okay, it's okay. And so for me, getting on stage was a win no matter what. And I did not care if I got last place at all. Just if I didn't fall or, if all the things didn't go wrong, then to me, I won. And that was all that mattered to me. But most importantly, it was mostly a business move why I put myself through that competition. And that was so I wanted to attract more fit clients that were already in shape and try to get those people to be in better shape versus people on day one of their journey.
Right.
So I had to put it out there to attract it back.
Right.
And so by doing that, I did it more of an advertising thing versus I want to commit to being a competitor forever.
Right.
It was more so to show people that I had the education, the experience, the knowledge, the hands-on on my own self and working with other competitors that I all got to know and see their ways. And so that was really a business move.
Okay. And did you just do the one show?
I did one.
Oh, wow.
I had planned on doing another one.
Okay.
And then I wanted to build for the next year, and my coach and I had that plan. And then at that point, I hired an Olympian coach, and so that was Mandis Buckle, and he works out in Chicago, and he trains a lot of Olympians. And he was another coach I was stalking for years, so I was like, I want to go to this next level, and so I hired him next, and him and I were working on my building now and grow seasons. And so we had this year plan, and it went phenomenal. I had the best physique that I ever had by the end of that year. And then we were going to go into cutting down for another show. And then COVID closed down the gyms. So at that point, I now couldn't work. I now couldn't train my clients. And I really didn't know what to do from there. And you could get help from the government or whatnot. But I am a workaholic. I've been a single mom, basically my son's whole life. So I have always worked 2 to 3 jobs at all times. So for me to sit still and not work or make income is it's not okay.
Right.
So I was doing jobs under table with Egg Weights, who sponsored me. And they put me on like a call program. And so I was calling all the gyms, calling all the things, selling
Right.
Egg Weights. And that really helped a lot, actually, hold me over through COVID.
Right.
And then I was training some clients, at the park. But then it was still too tight,
Right.
and I'm like, I cannot, I've got to do something. And so I was brainstorming everything. And one of my clients, I had trained him for 2 years. We had a great transformation. And he was like, I would buy your meals from you. Because at the time, being a single mom who was working 2 or 3 jobs, and even when I worked Serotonin Athletics, I was doing that. I was doing nutrition coaching. I was selling supplements. So I was still doing multiple avenues of income.
Right.
And
You're a hustler.
yes. And so he's like, you know what, Sarah, if you'd make some extra meals, I would buy them. And okay, I was like, that's kind of an interesting idea.
And this was recent, though. This is
2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess I could consider that. But, his meals would need to be different sizes than mine. And as I was already writing his plans.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember I was thinking that I really don't want to cook for people. I don't. I don't even like to do my own meal prep. And working the way I did and raising my son and how busy I am with his sports and his school and everything, I actually, for about 2 to 3 years, I was preparing 90 meals at a time for myself. I bought a 7-foot cubicle freezer that holds 90 meals. And so I would prep my entire month in one day. It would take me 2 days. I would spend 8 hours a day, 16 hours prepping 90 meals, and I would have my entire meal plan for the month in my freezer. It was the only way for me to be successful, to be the athlete that I had become and be a single mom and work all that I was working. And so I would post my kitchen table plus extra tables of all my meals, and I posted that for a good 2 or 3 years. And I had so many people always writing, oh, you're so inspirational. I wish I had your drive. Like, oh my gosh. And so I had all these pictures of all these meal prep tables. And so I started selling that client my food. And he was one of those clients that struggled to stay on his meal plan. And he would get good results for 2 or 3 weeks, and then he would just kind of crash and he'd regress a little. And then I have to kind of kick him in the butt and get him back on. And then we would keep making progress over the long period, but he was always up, down, And so I'm like, okay. So I started feeding him, and it was within 2-3 weeks, every week he was getting more results than he was when we were in the gym. And I'm like, wait a second. So you're training half the amount, but just me feeding you is getting you twice the results. And so now I've got this pot stirring in my head. So I'm now offering meal preps to my other clients. So I did the same thing with them, and the same thing happened. I took over their cooking, and they all, during COVID, when we couldn't go to the gym and we were doing like little park things every now and then. And
Right.
I mean, they were working out 25% of what we were in the gym.
Right.
And all of their results started rolling in. And one of the biggest things that they were telling me, almost all of them were telling me, they're like, why does your healthy food taste so much better than mine? And they're like, you make this taste good, and I'm getting twice the results. And one of the things they reported was that when they were cooking for themselves, it was hard for them to stay on their program because they hated their food.
Okay.
And I was like, what? But I could relate to that too, because when I first started meal prepping, I didn't like my food either. But when I studied in the nutrition schooling, that was when I learned what I could cook with, and whole food ingredients and flavoring with real things. And, I started experimenting with that, and I had no regression. My body continued to progress. So I started learning what can or can't be put in the food.
Right.
Without regressing. So that is when I was like, okay. That same client, the first one, was like, you should post this now. You should do a post and see if people in Henderson or Vegas, are interested. So I did. I did a post on social media, and next thing I knew, I was cooking weekly for multiple customers, and I was delivering in Henderson and Vegas, Summerlin, Lake Las Vegas, North Vegas.
You're personally driving meals around town.
Yes, and cooking in my kitchen at home for all these people during COVID who were, just, either wanting to start their journey or were already in shape and didn't want to. I don't know any reasons that they had, or people that were just inspired by my what I was doing. And so I started off with a cute little customer base, and I was working. Another job I did during COVID was I started working with a physical therapist. And when you're NASM certified, you can actually work with physical therapists or doctors. So I had talked to him and told him my education, and he was doing a traveling program, working with elderly. And so he put me on to be the nutrition coach for his team. And so that was another job I did during COVID to hold me over.
Right.
But then he let me feed his office. So I had support from people that, he didn't really want the meals, but he wanted to support what I was doing. So I had the avenue of working with him and feeding and doing nutrition coaching with his elderly clients. And then he supported me at home feeding his office. So, and he was my biggest client at that time. I think I was serving, 40 meals a week to them. And so that was a big deal, And
so you were not forced, but like a door open. You didn't want to cook, but you ended up cooking for all these people, and it kept growing. And you're like doing what you don't want to do, but you need the money.
Yeah.
So, but you kept going.
Yes.
Okay. Then what happened?
I kept going because so many people were getting all these results, and my passion in life is to help people. And I was doing that through nutrition coaching. Through nutrition coaching and training. And that was already so inspiring for me. And then when I started feeding them, it was like a magic wand came over, and it was like, what is happening? And everybody, and we're telling, I feel better, I'm sleeping better, my energy is up, I feed them complex carbs, I feed them clean proteins, and every single person had good things to tell me of what they were experiencing. And, some of the people I fed had health scares or health problems even at that time. And they were telling me phenomenal things, or, their blood pressure, or, the list goes on of the reports that I was getting even back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very touching to me to be able to just hear any of that from somebody, that I was changing lives, and but internally, not just trying to hold people accountable to showing up for themselves, but more so like changing their lives outside the home all the time, their energy, their fuel, their sleep, their inflammation, all kinds, it was, so I feel like the job chose me. I did not choose it, not on purpose. And I love what I'm doing today. However, I did not know that it was going to become a real company. And about 4 months into cooking for people at home, I actually had spoken to someone who was a competitor of mine, but I just had a home company. They had a real company. And she had given me some warnings about that, basically they'll come get you and shut you down and take all the money you ever made. Yep. And so I got scared.
The health department that's really not healthy, but it has nothing to do with health, but go on.
Yeah. So I was like, so I got intimidated by that. And I'm pretty much a rule follower. So I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get sued or them take all this money that I'm working so hard for to stay afloat during COVID. And so that's when I kind of I felt like I was in that position. Like, so I either stop doing this or I keep doing it and take the risk of getting caught. Like I'm a criminal, but that's what it boils down to when it comes to the law. So I was like, okay. And instead I slept on it. I thought of it, and my heart, everything about me was like, you need to do it. You just need to do it. And I'm thinking, I don't know about this. This is crazy. I knew, like, I was very intimidated on what it would look like to actually start a company. And I was like, okay, well, I did work 10 years in the service industry. I worked in the front and the back of kitchens. I was a manager for 5 years at a restaurant, and I was a manager on both sides. And so I learned the cooking, and and eventually that boss actually hired me made my job title before he made me manager was to be the trainer of his business. Mm-hmm. So by the end of my 10 years there, I had trained every staff member in the room.
Wow.
From front to back to server to managers to all of it. And so that gave me the confidence. I was like, I do know how to train a staff. I do know how to do inventory. I do know how to call Cisco. I know how to do, he taught me all of it.
Right.
And, and then I knew all the food safety rules because I was a manager and had to have those,
Right. Right.
And
Oh, hey. Whoa. The guys are here with the food.
We got food. Alrighty.
All this talk about food, I'm hungry.
Boom, boom.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, she had her special one. Do you know which
this one.
That is one. Okay, good.
Yep.
So this is perfect timing. Don't forget where you left off.
Okay.
We are going to do at least this part of we is going to do a sample test of the different meals that I ordered online. And you have your lunch. Is that your lunch?
Yes.
And we're going to see what these taste like.
Yes.
So what is this one?
So your meals are customized because you chose vegetable onlys or carb only on some of them, as well as a macro balanced. That one, I don't remember which flavor you got.
I think this is the
It will say
beef?
on your little sticker by your hand, right there on the side. Yes. So your flavor will be on the right.
lemon pepper. Veggies only, top sirloin. Okay.
Okay. So that actually is probably my steakhouse sirloin that sadly must have got mislabeled because I don't have lemon pepper sirloin.
Okay.
But then you ordered the mixed vegetables with that one. And that would be your low carb option that you selected.
That's good.
Thank you.
Smelled amazing.
Thank
Yes.
you.
From
Thank
the
you.
back. Yes.
Yes.
All right. What's this?
That one is looking like my sriracha chicken.
Cleanse the palate, Gio. Cleanse the palate. Take a sip.
Chicken breast with teriyaki. Is that right?
No.
You tell me what that says.
Yeah, that's sriracha.
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 Okay.
You're reading the wrong one.
Okay.
Yes.
That's really good.
Sriracha is a high seller. All
Is
of
it?
my food is sweetened with stevia. So I don't use any of the keto sweeteners or off sweeteners that cause us tummy aches or inflammation or running to the bathroom surprised. Anything that's sweetened on my menu is going to be sweetened with stevia. So it's natural.
And that's yams or?
Those are yams, yes.
That's good. This is really good.
Thank you.
Let's try this. This is baked shrimp.
Yes. And that is my wild in shrimp. Cajun.
Is it a different wild in?
Yep. And
What does that
again,
mean?
you selected vegetable only. So Wilden is kind of just a fun name because it's Cajun, and then I have, the twist in there. So I call it Wilden. It's got a lot of fun flavor. Again, it's all whole food ingredients. So I don't know. I thought Wilden was a fun name for it. Call it Wilden Cajun.
It's got a little kick to it.
Yes. That one's got a little kick.
Um,
That is my spicy shrimp.
that's the spicy
That
version?
is our spicy version, yes. Then I also have a steakhouse, a zest and lemon, teriyaki, salt and pepper, and then plain for those who need no ingredients at all.
And this one, I love how you have the thing, what's in there on the side of it. Ground beef or bison.
Mm-hmm.
The teriyaki. SF teriyaki.
Yes.
What's SF?
Sugar-free.
Oh.
My sauce is homemade.
Wow. That's really good.
Thank you.
That's sugar-free.
Yes.
Sweetened with stevia.
Yes.
Wow. That's bison or
It's beef bison, so it's a mix. So that way I could keep it cost friendly for everybody, but also clean it up just a little bit by giving you a better premium beef selection in there.
when you say premium, like a higher,
Yeah, better,
lower
higher
fat?
end. Yes, so bison is going to be a little bit lower fat, a little healthier for you, a little higher in protein as well.
Wow.
But it's a lot more cost friendly if I mix it versus if I just use bison.
Right. That makes
Also,
sense.
many people don't like the flavor of bison. So by mixing it half and half, it kind of calms down that flavor. And I noticed that if I talk to someone, they're like, oh, I hate bison. It just doesn't taste right. And then I explain to them, well, it's mixed, so it's not as strong. And then they end up loving it. And they realize, oh, you know what? It really isn't that bad. But yeah, it does make it more cost friendly by splitting it.
And this is blackened salmon.
Yes.
My favorite.
And then all of my proteins, they are all premium protein, top shelf. I do not go organic, again, to keep it cost friendly for everybody because it astronomically changes the cost if you go organic. But I do buy premium, no steroid, no hormone proteins only.
Wow. This is really good.
The blackened salmon is very popular as well as the garlic herb.
Now, I tried to do a different selection.
That one you chose carb only, and you got jasmine rice with that order.
And then, I don't know what size portion of protein was this. Is this 6 ounce?
Yes, yours
Okay.
are 6 ounces. That small one over there, your shrimp, that is the 4 ounce size. So if you
Okay.
notice, the container is also slightly shorter. So if you are ordering different size meals, you can tell because their container sizes will change with them. Or husband and wife are ordering, same thing. They can tell by just looking right at them whose is whose.
Wow. The guys did a really good job heating these up. They're perfect.
Yeah, good.
Perfect. Like, and they had to do them in a kind of a rotation.
Yeah.
And
You
what
should
did-
try mine.
What is yours?
I'm not even sure what I brought today. Let's see. But I wanted to bring one that was going to be, this is the spicy turkey, and it goes really good with the yams. So I always request it with the yams. But that's going to be a 6 ounce meal as well. I brought that one, though, because this is generally how a macro balance would come.
Oh.
So you kind of customize and change the balances of the meals, which is totally allowed in my company. But this would be, if you're ordering a balanced meal, what that would look like. You would get, 1/3 of each side, and everything is measured and weighed. The proteins on my entire menu is always weighed, and we weigh every single meal, and we serve in cooked weight.
Cooked weight.
Yes. So if you
Wow.
order 6 ounces, you're getting 6 ounces weighed.
Wow. That's cool.
Yes.
This is really, really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I have now almost 50 recipes on my menu for protein choices.
So, talk to the people about the selection. I feel like I've only been on there twice now. Do the different meals change weekly, or how does that work? Or can they choose any of your 50 menus?
Yeah. So my menu stays the same. And personally, I don't like when a menu is always changing because you find your favorites and then it's gone. And then now I might not want to order because what I wanted is not there.
Right.
So I just keep growing and expanding my menu versus taking things away. I do pay attention to which are selling, which aren't. So if I try a new one and it just doesn't hit, then I'll take it off and then I'll deliver a new recipe.
Got it.
But generally, I just keep growing the menu. I think I started off with like six recipes.
Right.
Now I have 50.
50.
So each protein, I have now 8 proteins on the menu, and each one of them is going to have 5 to 8. My chicken has 9 selections, but yeah. So you have all these different flavors.
So I get it. So there's only so many proteins that most people eat. So you just do different versions of each protein. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I have all the options there for people who are getting into shape, or athletes or competitors, or people with any type of goal for their health. So I've got the lean proteins like our chicken breast and our turkey, as well as our shrimp, and then mahi. So those are going to be, mahi is going to be our most lean protein. And then I also have, proteins that are a little higher in fat, starting with the beef bison, then to top sirloin, and then to salmon. And then I also have egg whites on the menu as well. So that was a new launch last week. I just launched those. So
And why egg whites?
it's been requested too many times to say no.
Really?
Yes. I didn't think that was a thing. So,
Do you, a nutritionist, well, you're not a nutritionist, but you have a certification in nutrition.
yes.
Eggs or egg whites in your personal meals?
So generally at home, I do one egg, and then I weigh my side of egg whites with it. And
Do a blend.
in other words, it's mostly 80-20.
Okay.
And but to keep the fat low, the cholesterol down, so I just was taught that so long ago that I've always stuck to it.
Okay.
But for my customers, it's very complicated to try to get the egg in there when you have so many ounces of egg whites that I'm cooking. So I just do straight egg whites for them.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And I did do a test round for the past 5 months with anybody who asked, and I've been serving them egg whites. And I feed a couple of different doctors, and I feed, I work with Dr. Pierce at Ageless Forever, and I work with Iris Kyle, and two of those guys, they wanted the egg whites, and I'm, who's going to say no to them, right? They can, so I was like, okay, we'll try it. I've never done it. And so I started learning. I was not even experienced in cooking bulk orders of eggs. Like, I just only make my one. And so I actually had to learn. I talked to other chefs, and they taught me how to make egg whites in bulk and how to cook them properly so they stay fluffy and you're not burning them in these big commercial pans. And so I did, and so each of them, I had like 5 different people ordering egg whites, and they all were just supportive of me learning. So like the first week of, they're like, they're a little dry, Sarah, the next week, okay, a little this. And so I just learned how to make them based off of what they wanted and if they were liking them or not. And I was honest with them. I said, look, I've never done that, but I'll try it. And so after doing it for, 5 or 6 months now and serving it to them consecutively, because they order weekly and I feed them basically their entire meal plans. And so it was successful. And, I'm thinking, do I need to add like a hash brown? Like, do I need to add like different things? And, but all these people, they order it. Most of them pick the rice or the garlic herb mashed potato with them for the side. And I think it boils down to the convenience for some. For the people that are ordering them, they're some of my busiest clients or business owners. And they're like, I don't even have time to make my eggs. And so for them, it boils down to the convenience. So I put them on the menu, not really expecting it to blow up. Like, I added fajita beef bison to my menu last week, and it just sold. It skyrocketed. But the eggs, I think it'll be a slow thing because it's just going to be for that special person that just is trying to make their goal. They need the numbers. They got to eat the food. And they don't even have time to do their own eggs. So
that's your only breakfast
kind of like
option.
a special person, I think, who's going to want those. Yes, it's my only breakfast item.
And I don't personally believe with my clients to encourage eating dessert, but have you done anything in the dessert field? Protein?
No.
Somethings?
No.
No?
Nope. I don't have any dessert on the menu.
And any intention to? I guess if the people want it, would you?
No, I feel I am a very strong believer in staying in my own lane. And I feel, I get asked all the time, how come you don't have a pasta option? How come you don't have some things with cheese and some things with stuff? And so my entire menu is dairy, sugar, gluten, and flour free. And I want to stay true to that because my mission is to teach people the true way. It's called Real Prep Meal Prep because it's the real deal meal prep. And I tried to replicate like the reason that the athletes and the people who started meal prep is this is what it really was. We weigh our protein, we measure our carbs, we measure our vegetables. Some people weigh them, some people don't. You know, which my company will do both depending on the elite level that I'm working with. If somebody weighs all their food, we'll weigh it too. I feel like everybody, you know, all the goals are treated equal.
Right.
But, you know, they really started. I'm sorry, I kind of lost our track there.
We're talking about desserts.
Oh,
and staying in your lane.
Okay, so they people wanted the flour and the, you know, some cheese and dairy, and you know, I'm like, well, you know, part of why I created Real Prep Meal Prep is because you can't find a meal prep company that doesn't include those things.
Right.
And when you're trying to learn how to eat healthy and we're ordering from these meal prep companies, I was frustrated because I myself would regress if I ate at them.
Yep.
And so part of the passion of Real Prep was my frustration that there was nowhere I could eat with and progress. And when I did my competition was when I really needed a meal prep company. And I was, you know, training twice a day, cardio twice a day, posing practice for an hour, also working, taking care of my son. And my coach was changing my plan weekly. At this point, I'm like, what is, I can't, right. I prep once a month. That's what I had time for. So I called every company. Do you guys do this? Can you make my portions the way that my coach is saying? No. And then also looking at the ingredients or the numbers, there's hidden fats, hidden oils, there's cheeses, there's sauces, there's all kinds of things. And I would get stomach aches eating at them. That's why I think it's important to sweeten with stevia, because there are people with sensitivities like myself, and my body knows immediately that you've used an off sweetener that it really upsets my stomach. Right. And same thing, I have a little bit of gluten sensitivity, so that's how I got onto that track. And the moment I cut gluten out of my diet, my whole body just like, I completely just changed. And same thing, getting the dairy out, my whole body just, each one of those cuts, I watched my body just go to the next level. Right. So I became a really big believer in it, and I started doing that, you know, with my clients, and then same thing with them, the results kept coming. So people wanted the pasta, they wanted some cheese. It wasn't all of them. It was always just mostly a lifestyle client. And, you know, I just told him, I said, well, if you want to get those things, you're welcome to order from the companies that have already mastered that craft. And, you know, those options are available for you everywhere. And, you know, but they're not going to be on my menu. And I wanted to stay true to what the real deal meal prep is. Right. And so I had, you know, I understand that going that popular route might skyrocket me up higher to kind of cater to the normal audience, but I don't want to have even a dessert or even a single pasta on my menu, because those who don't know or aren't educated, they might order, you know, 3 chicken meals and order 5 pastas for the week. Right. And now it's like, well, wait, hold on. Pasta is supposed to be like a once a week thing, if that. Right. And I can't be there hovering everyone when they're ordering to tell them, like, no, don't do that. Right. You know, so I just don't offer it. I like that. Just protect them. I like that. I like you've found your niche. Yeah. And you're right. Stay in your lane. Yes. And every item on my menu, I tell everyone, I'm like, there's nothing on my menu that is a threat towards your goals. You know, the only difference would be is maybe like if you need less fatty meats or more fat, you know, like about that. Right. But besides that, especially someone who is not dieting or is learning, they could order anything on my menu, 1-2 meals a week, 2 meals a day. And I mean, they call me within a week or two, and they're down 5-10 pounds just like that. Right. And I have multiple customers who call me. They're like, well, I've been ordering from this company for a year, and I lost 10 pounds, and that was it, and I'm stuck. And so then I kind of give them a little, well, what do you do for work? How old are you? How much do you weigh? Okay, I would suggest this meal size for you. Let's try that. Let's commit to 2 a day for a week, and then call me again on Friday, and we'll talk about it. And, 9 out of 10 times this person calls me, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm down 5 pounds. And 5 pounds is dramatic, as we know as personal trainers. Yes. We don't want to put our customers in a deficit like that. No. That's not realistic to have someone dropping 2 pounds a week. Losing is healthy weight loss. Yeah. 5 pounds a week is not. Yeah. So, but when a person goes from eating dirty to clean, they get a dramatic weight loss at the start.
Yeah.
And so all of them, 5-10 pounds in that first 2 weeks, just from cleaning their food.
Yeah.
Then from there, we're going to the 2 pounds a week, the normal pace,
Yep.
healthy pace. And, if they're still losing dramatic, then I know I need to up their food. Or I tell them, I'm like, if you're crazy hungry, there's a difference of being hungry and there's a difference of being psychotic hungry, that you can't even talk to people in the room because you're going to pounce, right? So, I teach people that. I'm like, there's a point of hungry. Like, I want you going to bed hungry, but I don't want you going to bed starving and mad at the world. And we have to find that happy balance for your success. And that's, a big thing that people that are trying to figure out how to do this, they want to go so hard, so fast. And it's a lot of baby steps. It's first, let's just clean it up.
Right.
Let's just get you on a balanced meal plan. Are you weighing? Are you measuring? No. Okay. Then we just need to get you on a balanced diet first. From there, if you succeed in that, we can start altering for your goal or what you're doing in the gym or what sport, whatever you're doing. But first, we just getting someone on a balanced plan first. If they're not already, then that right there will bring plenty of results.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to say my favorite was the salmon. You can't go wrong with the blackened salmon. And then the bison, beef
The
bison.
teriyaki?
Yeah. That was really
That
good.
also is a new item.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, your first order, it wasn't on the menu for you. You
really?
switched flavors on me this week. Yeah. You ordered, I think you ordered this salt and pepper beef bison. I was like, really? Of all the flavors? And then this time you switched to as soon as that teriyaki was on there, that was the one you clicked this week.
I'm a very mild-mannered seasoner. And so that's why this is like stepping out for me.
Yeah.
The chicken sriracha?
That is the wild and shrimp.
No, but
your sriracha chicken. Yeah, over there. Yes.
That is really good as well.
Thank you.
But that's like stepping way out of Gio's normal lane of seasoning. I'm like if I go to a restaurant, I'll eat it, but I mean that tasted restaurant quality. So that's
I have mild to wild on there.
Right.
So you can pick my lighter flavored stuff or you can go to my stronger flavored stuff. But even that, like I said, sweetened with stevia, and then it's clean. And, something that's important is we do measure even our sauce per pound of protein.
Wow.
So my macro, my numbers, it's never going to change on you. You're not going to get 1 week where there's all this extra sauce and 1 week where it's light and your numbers are moving. We actually weigh all the cooked protein and then we pour the weight of what I have assigned per pound, so that way I can control the numbers that I'm giving you.
Wow, that's really detailed. I love that. So the food cut you off at a really important point in your story because I think it's so inspirational. My mom growing up or raising me was single, and I know and appreciate and love and think all single moms are like angels on this earth because not only are they committed to their children usually, they balance all these balls in the air and like they're superhumans, most of them, the good ones. So your story is really inspiring because you've had, I won't say a rough road, but a definitely not a straight path to where you're at now, and you're killing it. And I think that's really exciting. So you were talking about how you were just about to start your business. You were realizing that all the things in your past have gotten you ready for this moment. And that's really something that I believe so wholeheartedly, that all the things that we think might be insignificant or that might have been not in our lane or was not something that we wanted to do, those things we learned to bring into this moment. And you were right there, and that was the confidence that you built to move forward with this business. And how did you get a loan? What did you rent a kitchen? What did you do?
Yeah, so I did Real Prep Meal Prep is definitely, like you said, a combination of Serotonin Athletics mixed with the side of me that was the manager at restaurants for 10 years. And that was, what gave me the confidence. I was like, no, I do know what I'm doing, and everything, I think I can do it.
Right.
And I knew my education on how to feed people, and I also know how to alter. An important part of the piece is that I do customize macros, where it's just hard to get with other companies. And so you can raise your carb, lower your carb. If you are already on a meal plan with a coach, we'll follow that meal plan exactly. If you're working with a nutritionist, I'll follow their meal plan. So the sky is the limit there. There is no limitations on what you want to do with my measurements. You can change them all that you want. Wow. But to answer your question, what I was, thinking that I'm sorry, bring me back.
You were
I get so nervous.
It's okay, don't worry. You're doing amazing. You were about to start your business, and you were getting the confidence, and like, what was the step? Did you get a business loan? Did you rent a place? Like, what was next?
So the steps was, first I got my business license, and I had to get the LLC. I had to get insurance. You have to cover all kinds of things with the insurance when you're dealing with food and serving people, safety precautions. I had to get approved through the Southern Nevada Health District. I had to tell them all that I'm serving and whatnot. And then I signed up. It was about 4 months in. I got all that done. So I started cooking at home in October, and by February, I was in a commissary kitchen. And
what's that?
A commissary kitchen is an industrial Southern Nevada Health District approved, but it's shared. So there's other businesses in there, but it's got sections. So everybody has their own cook area, their own shelves, their own racks that they use, their own pots and pans. And actually, that first one that I went to was a high dollar one because I still wasn't sure if this was going to become a thing, so I didn't want to invest in it quite yet. So at that kitchen, we were able to, all the pans and pots were shared, and I just had to provide my stuff, but all the cooking utensils was there. And so that helped me start without having to put out so much. So I worked my first year in, that was called Slice Kitchen. And
I didn't even know those existed.
Yeah. So I was there, and I was working beside a couple of other meal prep companies that were in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was really cool because they don't really treat you like you're a competitor, and especially like I'm such a different niche than they are, so I'm not a threat to them. One of them was a keto company, and another one is a street foods company, and both of the owners were super cool, and they gave me like advice of do's and don'ts and the things that hurt them when they started out. They've both been open 5-7 years, and they shared with me computer stuff, ways to help me do programs, and that was really cool. So we were there for a year, and I started off with at home. When I started getting actual customers, I had a friend helping me that I grew up with in junior high, and so he and I were just cooking away, and I was paying him, and and we were just doing it to survive COVID. And then we moved to the commissary, and he came with me, and then at this point my sales was growing up, and I now needed more helpers, and so I hired another employee, and now this was where everybody had to be actually their employees. They're not just me paying a friend and we're just pocketing it home. And everything had to change at this point. I now had overhead. I now had rent. I now had all of the you have to have all your licenses, all your insurances. So I now had all these things. So I had to actually now sit down and really formulate prices and cost and weight. Since we serve in cooked weight, I had to really determine the cost of a real pound of cooked meat versus raw.
So different.
So, it was, like chicken, I have to add 50% to it. So if somebody orders, if my whole total of the week is 100 pounds of chicken, I have to cook 150 pounds of chicken to land at 100 pounds cooked weight so I can serve everybody their cooked weight orders. Right. And so that changes the cost per pound, So
Did
then
you
I had
do
to,
all that math?
Yes.
Personally?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm actually a really big numbers spreadsheet nerd.
Okay.
And I can hours and hours away doing numbers. So, and each protein has a different shrink percent. So I learned all this as I went.
Wow.
Each one. And so And I would start dialing it in by, I would guess first off, if I got this much ordered, I'd order this much extra, and then it would, shrink. And there were some weeks where I was short and I had to run into the middle of the store in the middle of cooking because I was short at the end. And then I started.
It's not a perfect science.
No, it's not. You can look on Google and it'll tell you that it's 20% for every meat, which is not right at all.
Yeah.
And so I have different numbers plugged in, and you have to figure all that out. And that was probably one of the hardest parts. And now today I have it dialed in where I always have a little bit extra of every protein now, but not dramatic where you're hitting a big loss, because you don't want to land with 5 pounds extra of salmon and cooked weight.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second,
Yeah.
to get 5 pound salmon, I had to cook 7, do the math.
Right.
So that was a big learning curve, was figuring that out, and learning that the meal prep companies, I totally understand why they don't serve in cooked weight, because if you get 100 pounds chicken ordered, cook 100 pounds and split it up between all the meals. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more cost effective.
Yeah.
But because I'm an athlete myself, that's not how we do it.
No.
I don't order a 4-ounce chicken and want 2.5 ounces. I need 4 ounces.
Right.
And so that was big learning curve. And then in that first year there, I started getting intimidated because I could sense that I was going to outgrow the kitchen. I was starting to fill the racks too much, and with the other companies there wasn't enough room in the fridge, and I could see it coming. And I was like, if I even grow one more bit, we're going to have a real problem.
Right.
And so I pulled my contract with them professionally and in a timely manner, and did the notice and everything. And Stacy and them, they're all so great and sweet and loving and wished me the best. But I had to leave because I could tell that it was going to be a problem.
Right.
And so from there, I actually, while I was there, I was 702 Prep. He reached out to me, another meal prep company that he serves healthy food, but it's more lifestyle. So again, he's going to have cheeses, the oils, all the fun, and his meals look delicious, but they're just not this niche. Right. So, he reached out to me and had asked me. Apparently, he started at Slice Commissary too. And so he was like, oh, how's it going over there? Tell them hi and this and that. And wow, congratulations, your company looks awesome. And so, and then I told him, I said, I'm getting intimidated because we're getting squishy over here. And then he told me about where he moved to Vita Kitchens in North Las Vegas. And he talked to me about the prices, this and that. And then he invited me in, gave me a tour with the manager of the business. And so immediately I went there, and, his company has been open for 7 years, and he's, doing 7 times the business. And so I saw how much he's producing, and I was like, sky is the limit here.
Right.
I have plenty of growth space here to not even be intimidated for a very long time.
Right.
And so I immediately talked to both of the owners, canceled here, moved over there, and within the next month we were moved over. And by that point, I had 4 employees now. And so I moved there a little over a year ago now. We've been open for 2.5 years. And one of the best decisions I ever did. But the whole reason that it was very intimidating was to move there. Nothing is shared. So I had to go invest in every pot and pan, every cooker, everything, the aprons, the thermometers, that was the day that I had to face that big financial hit of like,
right,
I'm really going to do this.
Right.
We're really doing it.
Right.
And it was definitely a pretty penny that I was so scared to do it.
Right.
And I'm a visionary, so I could see what was happening. And I've always felt like, God is a part of my journey. So I utilize him, and I think sometimes he's telling me to jump. And every time I've jumped in this business, everything came to fruition that I have tried.
Right.
And so I was like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And so I moved us over. And sure enough, the company did grow in the next couple months, and I wouldn't have fit in Slice. And I hit the numbers that I was like, right where we were like, this isn't going to happen.
Right.
And it happened. And so I was like, okay. So I felt like, I was caught. Like, I was like, okay, all right, good. We solved the problem before it came. And then, from there, we've grown the next year, and now I have 10 employees. Ooh. Yeah. So there's 10 of us now. And, my son works in the kitchen too. He's 13, turning 14 soon. In the Southern Nevada Health District, if it's immediate family, you can work your children at age 13.
Okay.
So, but he too has to have a health card and has to be educated and know what he's doing.
Right.
And so...
is he kind of taking a leadership role because he knows the business because he saw you do it?
He does a little bit. He doesn't necessarily tell people what to do,
right.
But someone will ask a question and he'll answer before me.
Right.
I'm like, listen to him.
Right.
He knows that was the right answer.
Right.
So he does take a lead. Yeah.
The children are watching, and, all the good habits that you've created in your life and his. He's learning, it's the same thing with bad habits, like I don't have any kids, but I know the psychology of it. And I tell people, it's like, if you're going down a bad path with nutrition and you don't care, or your kids are watching, they're learning that that's okay behavior. Yeah. So that's what you're passing on to them. So, I think this is awesome. I love that you've kind of brought him up. I don't think you forced it, but he gravitated towards being an athlete himself. That's so cool.
And he eats the meals every week. He orders every week from the menu off of the website. He goes on and puts his order in. He eats 1 to 2 a day.
So let me ask you this. Are you cooking?
I hardly cook at home anymore. I just order from my company.
Right, but do you cook at the
kitchen? Yeah. I only cook at this point if I have 2 call-outs.
What's that mean?
So if I have 2 employees call out on Sunday cook day, now I'm recruited.
Okay.
I can handle 1 call out. My crew can handle 1 person missing. They cannot handle 2. That would be torture.
And so that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother culture that you're having to develop and coach and prune and it's just, I'm sure as you're learning and scaling this business that you're just learning episode after different thing. It's probably crazy.
Well, yeah. And then, the fear too, when I first started, like, I worked the company for the first year and a half to year and 0.75, I was there, I was pulling 70-hour weeks. I was working 15 hours on Sunday, 15 hours on Monday, sometimes 16, 17 hours on Monday. I was working like 30 hours in 2 days. And because I did everything from front to back for that first year and a half, and it was no joke, and so when I finally started to kind of learn that I needed to delegate so I could be more valuable outside and not keep burning myself out each week. Yep. That was the trickiest part. That's when I, had to multiply the employees, to get myself out. And at that point, you have to grow to a certain point too, to be able to afford that. So without hurting yourself or sinking your own ship. So, I waited a little longer than I should have or had to, but the hardest part was trusting people with your baby. Right. And, if you're not, I am a firm believer that if you want something done right, you need to do it yourself. Right. So that was another hard one for me. Right. And, week by week, I started just kind of fading out a little bit earlier, and I would leave 2 hours early instead of staying till the end, and then 3 hours early and 4 hours early, and so on until, today I don't have to go into the kitchen on the cook day anymore. I still go in, I pop in on them and make sure everybody's doing what they're doing, or if anything's wrong, then I'm there to save the day. Same thing on Monday, I don't have to be there for the whole meal prep, but I always, my first round of meals gets done around 10. So I'm always there right then because I want to see my presentation, make sure the meals are done properly, that the meal containers aren't upside down, the stickers aren't upside down, all the things are done.
All the little things.
Yes. You smooth your potatoes, all the way to, are your veggies hanging over your protein? No, they better, we can't. Right. So I do go in still to overview my staff now. Right. And then, like I said, if we're behind or we're down an employee, 2 employees, then I'm there and I'll work the whole day. Mm-hmm.
I have so much to ask you. There's so much here. And I haven't even got into the nuts and bolts of your struggle of getting to where you're at, because I think that's there's so much in there. Just you're overcoming your Achilles issues and becoming a triathlete and all those amazing things. So I'm going to have to try and keep it focused.
Yeah.
Because I think we're over an hour already, and I could just keep talking.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's funny.
But I want to help you promote your business. And first of all, I'm going to ask you, how do you promote your business other than something like this? And I know I've seen you online a lot and on social media. What else are you doing? And
so, yeah, social media is definitely my strongest point, and collaborating with others, like yourself, sharing you sharing me. The teamwork of that is huge because we can utilize each other's teams, and we have similar niches, people that know us that are into the same things. So sharing them helps get the exposure. And I collaborate with a lot of people that I feed, a lot of coaches, a lot of doctors, all of them. So I get seen on all these different pages. And I even work with bariatric patients who have had the surgery to cut their stomach, and lose weight that way. So I have a menu for them as well with these little mini baby meals, and I have the kids meals. But yeah, so I mostly am social media. I use TikTok. I'm not the greatest at TikTok, but it's there.
Right.
And a lot of times I'll use that to edit sound or captions and make the videos, spruce them up a little.
Okay.
But then other than that, I am constantly showing face places, and I sign up. At first, the first year, I was signing up for everything. So I went to every bodybuilding show that year. I went to every gym's event that year that I could, that I knew of. And I started off with all these different gyms and partnering with them and feeding their members and giving them, brochures, coupons, whatever. And first I had to prove myself to the owner or the manager, and I fed them. And then they were like, whoa, this really is the real deal. And then they would advertise to their people. So that was a big thing, is proving yourself and bringing it. You sometimes just you have to believe in your product sometimes and just put it in somebody's hands and say, look, there's no gimmicks, there's no lies. I'll look you in the eyes. Please try this. Right. And then they try it, and then and anybody who's already been eating this way, we know immediately if somebody's lying to us about what's in our food.
Right.
So so from there, then I paired up with all the different shows. And then now, this last year, they call me. And I have multiple businesses that call me and want me to bring the company to do a booth. They see my extravagant booths because I definitely went all out with decorating that thing. Right. And I do all my own designs. And so it's everything.
Colorful and yeah.
Yes. And so then I do them at the doctor's offices and, the hormone specialist office, the sleep apnea offices. I go to all of these different, tomorrow I have a meeting with the behavioral health institution and with the doctors there to feed their patients. And so, it really is a lot about connecting with the people who care about this.
Right.
And not getting them on your side, because, I'm small town Boulder City little Sara, who nobody knew me.
Right.
But if I proved myself to the people that were known, that was the biggest impact, was their word. And so I really utilized that. And like I said, I proved myself to them first. And then, even the first Cutler show that I did, that was when I met Iris Kyle. And I'm telling you, I never even met her yet. And I just walked up to her and was like, I have something that you want and you need. And she's like, really? I've had many meal prep companies and they did not, I don't know about you. And then she goes, is your chicken dry? Because I don't do dry chicken. And I was like, no, Iris Kyle, my chicken's not dry. And if it is, I won't be anymore. And actually because of Iris Kyle, I put so much work into making sure I never serve dry chicken. Right. So our chicken is juicy. And it's actually today one of the most compliments I get. And I'm thankful for that moment. She scared me with that one.
It is really juicy.
Thank you. And so, but it took that bravery, because I'm really actually a shy person. I'm actually pretty quiet. And this company has really taught me to talk and be brave. And, even the first time you had asked me if I wanted to do a show, I was like, no, I'm all scared. Right. And so finally I was like, okay, I'm ready, right. Same thing. Right. But, so I just.
So really, kind of network marketing within the community of
Yes.
health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
I have someone that I want to introduce you to, and this might be a kind of unexplored market. Maybe it's not. I work with a plastic surgeon,
Okay.
and I take his clients that are either doing, some sort of, liposuction, tummy tucks, or any kind of body composition thing.
Yeah.
But he believes that he can only take them so far.
Absolutely.
And it's what I teach and what you could probably provide to him as far as the food. And he's trying to create a team or a culture of health and wellness. And I don't think he has a nutrition piece.
Right.
But I also think that that's going to catch on in the plastic surgery field because so many people like the bariatric surgery.
I was just going to refer to them. If they don't know, they reverse it.
100%.
And so pairing and partnering with a company that is the real situation. And, if they're delivering their meal plans, then we'll follow their meal plans. If they want me to help direct the customers, then I can do that too. So either way, just partnering with someone like you said, like how I said, stay in your lane. His lane is that side. My lane is this side. Together we can create the success. You do, but the more support that anybody has, the more likely they are to succeed.
Yeah. His program is like low inflammation food, low sodium. So there's a post-op plan that you could probably do because you do specialize.
And I have all that, yes.
And the people that get plastic surgery usually have the resources to buy food, and we haven't even gotten talking about that. Like, it's probably similar to shopping yourself and cooking yourself. I mean, it's not. Sometimes people think it's this lavish expense, and then they really don't realize that it's not that big of a difference between going shopping and cooking yourself, and at least you're at least not spending the same amount of time and money.
Yes.
There might be a little more money, but it's, let's talk about that really quick.
Sure.
In your many spreadsheets, have you figured out the cost of like, is it a lot more expensive? Is it reasonable? What's your pitch on doing it yourself or having a meal prep company do it?
I never actually compared it to what it would cost me if I did it at home myself. What I can tell you is the time is more valuable than the cost.
Yeah.
And, if you're spending $50 more having your meals prepared for you, but you're saving 4, 5, 6, 7 hours in the kitchen and a 2-hour to get all this healthy food, all of us know it's 2 or 3 different grocery stores to get the list.
Yeah.
And so now you're running around town for an hour and a half. By the time you get home, you've got to do everything. Then you put it all together. I mean, you're 6 hours in, next thing you know. So the biggest thing I know is a time saver. I don't exactly know the cost difference, but I do know that I have kept my prices very close to the competitors. Even though I know that my food is very clean and it's weighed and measured and we put more time into it. And I know this because I'm friends with the companies and I work beside them.
Right.
And they tell me, they're like, you realize how much time you're losing weighing every side? I can't believe you're doing that. But what, and I'm like, well, that's you and this is me. And, thank you for the advice. But no, it matters to my people that their food is weighed. And it matters to me that my food is weighed and that's precise. And when you're eating this way, every number matters, So if somebody is ordering, 14 6-ounce meals a week, they're eating 2 a day. If I'm giving you 5 ounces, okay, so, in the big run, I have multiple customers that are ordering 21 to 28 meals a week.
Wow.
Dr. Pierce is one of them. We've got him, and he eats 4 meals a day of mine. And so if I'm shorting him an ounce of protein in each meal, that's 4 ounces different. Okay, so now he's 30 grams less of protein a day, which is deeper deficit than he had planned and intended to be. So now might lead for him to binge eat or curl, or he's suffering more than he's supposed to be. He might fall off his plan. Or maybe he loses muscle, or, because someone like him is in body scanning weekly on me. and letting me know, like this happened this week. Let's change my carb, because they write nutrition plans at his office. And so they actually send them to me on a spreadsheet, and I feed their patients and customers based on the meal plans that are written and to the measurements that they're assigned. And then I get to see all their in-bodies. So I get to watch all of the progress. And, so that is, a big part of it is giving people what they're actually ordering. And when you're serious, when I'm working with a lifestyle client, they might not know, but you would know if I was shorting your food. You would also know if I was upping your food and you started gaining that you weren't supposed to be gaining.
Right.
If you've been eating your meal plan,
Right.
So the time saved to have it done effortlessly, without thought, without worry, and being able to fully trust the company and to watch it happen in your own results. I can't tell you the cost difference of that. The
It's
value,
priceless, as they say.
the value there, and it's a gimmick free. There's that's part of what gave me the confidence to start the company was there's no lies. I just felt like how could I lose when I'm truth will prevail.
Right. So, without getting into numbers, I get a sense that you're doing really well with this.
Yeah, we're growing and growing. Yes.
Talk about the courage you did to make that jump, and maybe some words to other single moms out there that are struggling, that maybe need that push to go, I'm going to go for whatever business they have, or take that jump. And if you can talk to them about something that maybe might inspire them, and we'll end with that.
Okay. So I would say, I always say before that if something's weighing on your heart, there's a reason for it. You have a passion, you have a drive, you have a natural instinct to want it, a hunger for it. So if you're feeling that feeling, then that's a sign that you have what you have what it takes in you to succeed in it. But most of us, a lot of times, will leave those feelings dormant because of fear and the intimidation. And I can't tell you, this is the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And there has been many nights, I cried and nervous and investing. And it's been so scary, almost the whole, it's still scary today.
Right.
I feel like, I'm constantly living in fear, and you constantly don't know if it's going to come back, and you just keep trying. But if you keep trying and you put it out there, it does come back. And that's the biggest thing. And as a single mother, especially if you are a full-time single mother and you don't have help from the child's father, in my case, that is a very emotional event in my life. And, that time for me goes back to today. I'm 14 years clean, and he is not. So my situation came from cleaning up my life, changing my life for my son, protecting him, and changing the world for us and the future that was going to come versus what I was doing when I was 17, 18, 19. And that path that I was on, then, I also have the childhood with my birth parents being drug addicts and me being adopted. So I had all of this, struggles that was not just being a single mom, but childhood trauma, and drugs were involved of the people that I love the most. And so I think if you're that struggling single mother and it might have been a disastrous story of what happened that got you to that point, then for me, that passion, that love for my son, the love for myself, the not wanting to be a statistic, not wanting to be a single mom that struggled, that couldn't put her kid through sports, that couldn't do these things, for me, that was the drive and my own healing to help other people. So what for me was following my passion of what healed me inside was inspiring and helping and being the opposite of what it looked like I could have become if I would have gone down the other route. So I think that's the biggest thing. If you're kind of facing a crossroad, I can do this, I can do that, or I could be great, or I can suck. If you have it in you and you're struggling, but you know that you're great, then you have to listen to that.
Right.
And even if you don't believe in yourself yet. I have to tell you, many times I was lying to myself, like, I can do this, but I just said it until it was in existence.
Right.
And I didn't really know that I could do it. And I was really scared inside, and I was scared that I was going to fail. And, and that's, and that was something that I woke up with every day for the first year and a half of this business, for every day scared, every week watching things up, down, or, you're up, and then crash. And then like, oh no, and slow seasons of the year, having to learn how do you survive those if you're just barely making it by. And, but, many times I could have thrown in the towel, and there was many times that it felt like I should have, but again, I believed in the truth of my company. I believed in the passion of it. I had firm, solid believers and customers and high-end athletes and high-name and and that was that support system. The support system is huge, and that is, kind of what pulled me through on those tough days, and utilizing those people that I respect so highly as mentors. And, now today, a lot of them are my friends, and they're people, if I have a business question, they'll advise me. And so I guess you're a single mom, you need to find your support system, because that team will lift you up. And if you believe in something, you got to have a group. And that for me, I think, is what has prevailed me is, everybody on my team, every employee I have, they all have their own fitness or health story or past or 60-pound weight losses and 100-pound. One of them's lost 100 pounds. One of my drivers is a competitor. Another one of my girls was a chef at the hospital. So it's like everyone in my team is already involved. Two of my employees are dancers. One of the other ones competes in soccer. So all of us have the passion for what we're doing. And that, I think, is what makes your team strong, is not just having, this person, that person, and just doing the job. It's you all have to be in love with it. And that is what's lifted it up. And my customers who are in love with it and all of it, I just don't even know how to explain. It's like the domino effect, but the dominoes are standing up.
Right.
And so, yeah, I guess that would be my advice to single moms would be, if you've got something inside you, you got to do it, because you are powerful and you don't know it. And especially when you're a single mom, when you're a single mom and you're protecting your baby and you're working those jobs and you're doing it there, that brings out something inside of you that it's you against the world. And if you're in that situation, then whatever that voice is, I don't know. If you listen to it, you'll be amazed at what you do.
Wow. I think we have at least another whole show to do with you. So I'm going to have you back. This was great. I have so much more to ask you and to talk about, because you've dropped a lot of little crumbs along that story. So we'll have to get back to it. But thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you for having me.
This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it eventually.
Yeah, I did. Even like I told you, I get so nervous and I forgot what I was saying twice. But
it's okay.
Twice is a charm. You got to do it, and then you just get better at it. And
100%.
There's another advice for a single parent, anybody. You're gonna mess up.
Yes.
You're gonna fail. And if you just keep going at it, you'll win.
Yes.
But you have to believe that you can. If you don't believe it, you'll go down.
100%. Well, thank you so much again. Fit Fam, until next time, make sure you share this episode with people that need to hear it, that need to eat her food. So until next time, Fit Fam, I'm out.